And with that, Daniel, you are up. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm here to vouch that everybody needs to take a moment, press pause, and really understand what's going on here. I'm not saying that a partnership between TTC and a major university is a bad thing. It's probably a good thing. Anytime you have integration of R&D with TTC, that is great. But we just got this notice late Monday, right? The attachment is confidential. We need transparency. Concerned citizens, transit users, taxpayers need to understand the nuts and bolts of this agreement. And we don't have that because it's a confidential attachment. So that's number one, is where's the transparency? Again, dumped on concerned citizens and taxpayers late Monday. That's not enough time for people in our city to truly understand the details. Often they say there's devils in the details. And I'm not saying there is here, but people should be given a longer period of time, a more reasonable amount of time to truly flesh through the meaning and nuances of this unprecedented potential framework agreement, right? This has never been done in Toronto history. And the TTC board, and especially the people who fund the TTC, us, the taxpayers, should be giving a little bit more time to understand the nature of the agreement. And secondly, Dr. Lakshmi himself said there was a 2-year consultation period when they renamed the school. Well, if we're going to rename a subway station that has been iconic in our city since 1954, Dundas Station is culturally and historically significant. Those yellow bricks are antiquities in our city. And people on this meeting are going to destroy that, erase that with 48 hours of notice. If we're going to be embarking on any erasure of a name that is so entrenched in the cultural fabric life of our city, like Dundas Station, then this needs to be done with the utmost care and with significant public consultation. We've learned the lessons. Dianne Saxe herself at City Council last year talked about how poor the process was with renaming Dundas Square. Same with Matlow. Josh Matlow, 2 months ago at Executive Committee, when we were talking about Moss Park Arena, said he regretted the process of renaming Dundas Square because we knew how flawed it was. There was no public consultation. The historical and academic inquiry was highly biased. This is known fact. In fact, it was so bad, 35,000 people signed a petition opposing it, saying this is not a good use of taxpayer dollars. TMU can still enter an agreement with TTC without having to rename the station. They're mutually exclusive. You can still have a great R&D agreement, collaborate, find innovative solutions, look at AI, all those great things, without having to destroy the name of a station that's been with Torontonians since 1954. The fact remains is the majority of Torontonians don't want this station renamed. And from a transit perspective, it's actually counterproductive to wayfinding. Sure, I understand a lot of students go there and use it daily, TMU, but what about the 60 to 70,000 people who are not students, who need to get to Dundas Street? Hey, where's Dundas Street? Oh, it's at TMU station. Okay, well, where's TMU station? In fact, wayfinding, you want the station to reflect the name of the street. That increases and helps with wayfinding. So I understand, again, with the students might help, but the students only represent, the last I checked in the stats, is about 30 to 40% of daily users of Dundas Station. What about everybody else? So my message is, let's take our time, let's scrutinize this more, let's do some more public consultation, and let's not start this partnership in a tainted way, because it will be politically costly for everybody involved if this renaming goes through as is. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I guess the first question is, you said there was no public consultation. Do you acknowledge that this is a public consultation and that previously, February 2024, when this went to the TTC board, that was another public consultation, and when you deputed at Executive Committee about the renaming of Sankofa Square, that was an additional public consultation on this item?
No, when I deputed at Sankofa Square, it had already been done. Okay. The decision had already been made. When I deputed, it was about the operational review, and that was really my only opportunity to say my piece, because before that, there was no opportunity. The Community Advisory Committee had no public consultations. They had 20 meetings themselves, but I never got a notice. I never saw a poster on the street. I subscribed to all the listservs. I never got a notice that there was an open public consultation on the renaming of Young Dundas Square. And I think the lesson learned is that we need to do a similar one for the station if we're going to do that. I know you guys voted for it at City Council, so you can argue, oh, the ship has sailed. But hey, we can always look back in retrospect and tweak and change things and do things better. Let's be more transparent this time. Again, to remind you, Saxe, Matlow, even John Tory himself were regretful of how it all happened. And a lot of Torontonians also are very opposed to this. So again, we can still look at an agreement with TMU, but it shouldn't come at the expense of like erasing historic Toronto names. It really shouldn't. And that's not a fringe take. That's the majority take.
Thank you. So just to be clear though, you acknowledge that this meeting and the meeting in February are both public consultations on the renaming
This meeting is a good first step.
And the meeting in February when this item was first brought to TTC Board.
Well, I didn't see that meeting. I don't know how many public individuals came to that. I certainly didn't get a notice for it. And all I know is the attachment remains confidential.
Thank you. And just to be clear, you said taxpayers are against this. Do you acknowledge that no taxpayer money is being spent on the renaming?
Well, that's not entirely sure because taxpayers are paying for this meeting. There's salaried people on this meeting who are funded by tax dollars. So to say that there's no tax burden for this is not true. There's the administrative costs, there's bureaucratic costs, and inevitably there will be some additional taxpayer costs. So there's many lenses we can look at this from: the financial lens, the cultural lens, the historical lens. The fact remains, out of 10 people you poll on the streets of downtown Toronto, do you support the renaming of Dundas Station? 8 or 9 out of 10 will say no. And I know this because, again, I've read the online polls, I've read the Globe and Mail polls, and that's what they say.
Okay, thank you very much.